All through early spring, gardeners fill their windowsills with indoor seed trays. We watch these tiny plants spend weeks tangling together, stretching desperately for whatever sunlight they can reach, while waiting out the unpredictable frost. By mid-May, the environment finally shifts. The threat of overnight frost disappears across much of the northern hemisphere, and the soil temperatures warm up and stabilize. Many beginners see this sudden warm weather as a green light to grab their packets and scatter seeds randomly into the dirt, treating the garden bed like a collection of isolated individuals. When plants are forced into isolation, they end up fighting each other for resources. Their roots crowd together, they rapidly drain the soil of specific nutrients, and they sit exposed to the incoming wave of summer pests. To survive the harsh summer heat, a garden has to operate as a synchronized ecosystem, where different plant species actively support one another. Success in May requires designing the physical and chemical connections between your crops, weaving them together to create a self-sustaining web. Setting up this web starts with the heat lovers. Crops like watermelon, cantaloupe, and butternut squash require a specific thermal threshold. They only trigger germination when the soil temperatures consistently hit 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. These fast-growing plants develop sprawling, fragile root webs. Moving them from indoors risks transplant shock, severe stunting from damaged roots. We avoid this through direct sowing. Placing seeds in their permanent May location leaves roots undisturbed. Hitting the warm soil triggers an explosive, uninterrupted growth phase. Getting these deep-rooted, heavy-feeding anchor crops established in the ground is the first step. They provide the physical foundation for the rest of the garden to build upon. To ensure these anchor crops thrive, we surround them with species that fulfill specific biological roles. This science is called companion planting. First, we build the structure. Sweet corn acts as a living trellis, its thick stalks shooting upward to provide rigid vertical support. Climbing beans wrap the corn stalks. Subterranean root nodes pull atmospheric nitrogen, converting it to solid fertilizer, flowing straight to the corn. Finally, sprawling squash covers the bare dirt as living mulch. The broad canopy traps moisture and blocks sunlight from invasive weed seeds. By combining these three specific architectures, the plants themselves become the infrastructure. You eliminate the need for artificial fertilizers, synthetic weed blockers, and manufactured trellises. With the physical structure in place, we build an invisible chemical defense. By integrating specific herbs and flowers around the perimeter, take basil and tomatoes. Planting them side by side allows the basil to release aromatic compounds that biochemically enhance the tomato's growth while actively repelling local insects. Dill acts as a predatory beacon. Its distinct scent naturally attracts beneficial parasitic wasps, which patrol the garden and hunt down destructive aphids. We can also use plants as decoys. Sowing nasturtiums near your beans and brassicas intentionally draws pests away from your vegetables. You sacrifice the flower to lower the pest pressure on your primary harvest. This illustration shows how to maintain the web over time through succession planting. By staggering the sowing of fast-growing crops every 2 weeks, the garden is planned both spatially and temporally for a continuous yield. Between the chemical shields repelling threats and the temporal staggers replacing harvested crops, the garden becomes a more resilient system, managing its own defense and nutrient cycling more effectively. Contrast the initial view of the spring garden, isolated, leggy plants in plastic trays, with this new reality, a dense web of overlapping growth where each species supports the others. The plants support their own weight, fertilize their own soil, and fight their own pests. The amount of human labor required drops drastically. The catalyst for all of this is May's specific thermal window. Hitting that narrow band of warm soil and frost-free nights allows you to direct sow the anchors and kickstart the cycle. You can achieve this in your own dirt. Stop buying isolated packets of seeds and start designing symbiotic pairings. The ultimate goal of the May garden is to architect an ecosystem that has the power to grow itself.